Hello everybody, let's talk about the fourth movement of the Elgar Cello Concerto today. The beginning is nobilmente, obviously, and quasi-recitative. You can pretend you're a nobleman talking to the people and throw your vibrato almost as if you're giving a speech. You can hear your vibrato still in the air after you release the E, so don't keep your bow on the string. So that the sound continues even after the bow leaves the string. Be sure those notes, the little notes F sharp, G, F sharp, speak. It's the pinky is weak, so we have to help it. Just practice it. In this phrase, the resolution is on the G, the last note of this 4-bar phrase. This G. So if you play from the score, the cello and bass line, this becomes quite obvious. The second phrase continues and the speaker is more passionate and speaks with flourishes. That's a difficult passage. Just practice it with the dotted notes, and then also we end with a question here. In the cadenza, try to count aloud when you play. Yes, cadenzas are free, but the pulse should still be clear. Don't forget to vibrate on your chords. So, and this sounds like a name, Alice, maybe, or whatever name you find. And again, Helen. You can almost hear that inflection when you play. Here, just guts. And wipe your hand from the rosin. So here. That's how I practice it. And then I add 2 groups at a time. Be sure you're playing near the bridge here. Rehearsal 45 ends with a B. That should be given to the orchestra, so... And the orchestra comes in with a high E. So just give that B. Rehearsal 47. Be clear and give a courtesy nod to your conductor after rehearsal 47 here, right? this one, the downbeat of 2 after 47 should be clear. Notice your dynamics after rehearsal 47. The first piano a tempo comes only a bar and a half after we start playing. So the second time we have 2 bars before the piano comes in. So make those changes in how the phrase is built clear. The first one is short. And here. So it's obviously a longer phrase. And the last phrase is the longest, starting in rehearsal 48. So show how every peak is more and more, every reiteration is more. So and again, C, again C, and E flat, and then finally. Notice how there is no accent, a bar and a half before rehearsal 49. So there's an accent, another accent, no accent on the G flat, so it's a longer line. After the painful A flat under the fermata 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 after rehearsal 49. Here, this A flat, we change the mood abruptly. So back to an optimistic mood. So the dynamic markings are there not just for decoration, really play them. And here I will show you my fingerings. You notice how the color changes between to finally. So there's three 1 bar little sub phrases. Jumping ahead to 1 bar before rehearsal 57. The phrase is really rounding off before we start again. Play 4 before 57. So there is some kind of a tapering off there. In rehearsal 59, we're back to tempo 1, and notice the difference between a tempo and tempo 1. So a tempo indicates a return to the last mentioned tempo marking, usually after a ritardando or an accelerando. And tempo 1 is the first tempo indication in a given movement, but here it means the tempo of the moderato, which is 72, because we have that indication nobilmente, just like in the beginning. So here, be sure that you're very, very solid with your tempo. You are leading the whole cello section. You're playing unison with them. then there's an accelerando that's not written, but many cellists choose to do. Just you have to pace it, otherwise the orchestra can kind of spiral out of control a little bit. I start moving around 4 before rehearsal 61. Here. As long as this is not super fast, I think it's very effective. One more thing to notice, that the rehearsal 59 has one forte only here. And here we have fortissimo. Let's look at this tricky scale, 2 before rehearsal 63. It takes quite a bit of practice. That's what's hard, I think, after you change position to catch that first note. And this is a nice... Here you really want to hear that whistle, in my opinion. See you. Notice my distribution, my bow distribution there. You really have to use most of your bow on the A, otherwise it will not be heard. But still save some for that shift. Again, notice those little accent marks. They're not there just for decoration. Again, this could be a vibrato accent. It's more a gesture. Here, there's no accent. There is an accent on the D flat. And we are in allargando, which is stretching the tempo. This allargando looks free on the page, but the orchestra does give every downbeat. So I think this should not be very free there. Or if it is free, it should be clear, just very clear where the next downbeat is falling. If you're taking time between the downbeat and the second eighth, once you hit that second eighth, you should be more or less in tempo. Here we are with the flutes, so be sure you're very, very clear. Here we are just accompanying the orchestra, so whatever they do, you're gonna go with them. I don't think that's a place to dictate tempo. Notice the little accents we have here. 1, 2. That's where the orchestra, those accents are where the orchestra has playing a little louder too. And here, no accent. Another thing to notice is 2 before rehearsal 64, the winds continue our line, so don't retardando to the point of death. Yeah, so just really study the score there. Finally, this long coda is very similar to the Dvorak Cello Concerto last movement coda. In that it can be very, very long. You have to plan how you're gonna get from point A, which is 108 beats per minute, to rehearsal 65, to 88 beats per minute in rehearsal 66, and from there to the end of the piece, or rather to rehearsal 72. I think taking two bows there is really necessary. Also a place that you should think about. Just be careful of not slowing down too much. You still have a long way to go. 88 is quite fast, so if you choose to play slower, just still bear in mind we have a long way to go. Another good idea to sometimes kind of go back to basics and try to play exactly as the composer wrote. So 88, yes, it's fast. It's a fast tempo indication for rehearsal 66. But if you practice this way, you will feel the whole ending more coherently. And it will give you space to go down. And lastly, I really think you should be very clear when you hit rehearsal 73. And here. Yeah, it is important to be right away in the tempo that you want. It's a bit of a tricky spot there for orchestras to read you, and if you're not super clear, things might not end up being like you want them to be. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.